All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the world of power evangelism. This is the belief that faith isn't just something you talk about, it's something you demonstrate with supernatural signs, wonders, and yes, modern-day miracles. And we're going to explore all this through the incredibly intense personal testimony of a speaker named Frenchie Gamero. It's a journey that's going to take us to some euphoric highs and some absolutely crushing lows.
Right off the bat, Gamer sets a different kind of tone. He says he's not here to preach a sermon. Nope, he's in coach mode. His goal is to literally coach people on how to bring about miracles themselves. So that really sets the stage for what is a very practical, almost results-driven approach to faith. So let's see what this coaching is all about.
So where does a coaching session like this even begin? Well, it all starts with a really simple but powerful idea, something he describes as his personal call to the spiritual path.
Okay, so this is the core of his entire journey. It's a simple principle. Find people who are getting tangible, supernatural results, what he calls fruit, and learn from them. He's not just looking for good teachers or smart theologians. He's looking for people whose actual lives are just defined by the miraculous.
And this is where he makes a really key distinction. He basically separates the spiritual world into two camps, the theorists and the practitioners. Theorists are the folks who have a perfect academic theology of healing, but they never actually see anyone get healed. And then you have the practitioners. For Gamero, the proof is in the results, and he's determined to learn from the people who consistently get them.
So who exactly are these larger-than-life practitioners he's looking up to? I mean, their stories are really the stuff of legend, and they set the standard for the kind of fruit he's hoping to produce in his own life.
We're talking about figures like John G. Lake, a healing evangelist from back in the early 1900s. The story goes he had such power that bubonic plague germs would literally die on contact with his skin. And then there's Reinhard Bonnke, a German evangelist, whose massive crusades in Africa became absolutely legendary.
Just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about here, check out this number. John G. Lake's ministry is credited with over 100,000 healings of incurable diseases during his lifetime. I mean, that is the kind of staggering result that Gamera is drawn to.
And then you've got Reinhard Bonnke. His ministry reportedly saw over 77 million people convert to Christianity at his events. You know, for Gamero, the sheer scale of that impact is what really defines a practitioner.
And this really captures the tangible evidence he's looking for. After just a single one of Bonnke's crusades, his team would reportedly fill 18 trucks. 18, with wheelchairs, crutches, and braces that were just left behind by people who claimed they'd been healed. That's such a powerful visual representation of the fruit he's after.
So with these massive, almost mythical stories as the backdrop, we get to the central narrative of Gamero's testimony. A single, transformative week in Dallas that he frames as an all-out spiritual battle, filled with the most extreme highs and lows you can imagine.
Okay, let's just break this timeline down, because it is an absolute roller coaster. The week starts with what he calls spiritual attack, just intense opposition, but that's immediately followed by a miraculous breakthrough. But as you can see, the highest moments of glory are completely shadowed by profound personal tragedy. This one week becomes the crucible for his entire testimony.
Now, at the very heart of this week, there's one story that stands out, a 9-year-old boy named Mario. He was suffering from chronic arthritis so severe that his knees couldn't even bend anymore.
So, when Gamer's team asked Mario why he wanted to be healed, his answer was just so simple and heartbreaking. He said, "I want to play with my brother again." He explained that every day all he could do was watch his brother play from his window. Well, according to the testimony, something huge shifts after a moment of recognition. Mario says he actually saw one of the team members in a dream. He takes a few painful steps, and then his knees start to bend. And pretty soon, he's running. And the entire tent just erupts in this wild celebration, with hundreds of adults literally chasing this little boy in circles.
But right here, the story takes a really sharp turn. That incredible spiritual high from that night is met with devastating personal lows, and this is what leads Gamero to his central revelation.
Yeah, this slide just lays out the brutal contrast. I mean, while these public miracles are happening in the tent, Gamero is facing private tragedy. A friend gets healed from a stroke, but his own grandmother is still paralyzed just blocks away. The team is praying for his sister's cancer, but her tumor doubles in size. And right at the peak of the revival's glory, he gets the news that his best friend has died from a drug overdose.
In the middle of all this, Gamero says he received this terrifying warning directly from God that his family was under spiritual attack, and that, unless they repented and closed the doors of sin, someone in his family was going to die. I mean, the stakes just became unimaginably high.
And this analogy becomes the absolute core of his testimony. He comes to this profound conclusion that great spiritual power, the anointing, which he compares to oil, it doesn't come in spite of suffering. No, it comes because of it. The glory and the pain, he says, are completely intrinsically linked.
And this is what he describes as his ultimate moment of being crushed. While he's on a mission trip in Myanmar, he gets the news of his best friend's death, and he's also told that his friend is in hell. This becomes the absolute rock bottom of his suffering.
But in that moment of just profound, absolute grief, he says God gave him this message. It completely reframed his personal pain into a motivation for his global mission. His heartbreak for that one person suddenly became a window into understanding God's heartbreak for an entire nation.
So, after passing through this unbelievably intense ordeal, he comes back with what he calls the elixir, this spiritual power born directly from his suffering. And now he wants to pass this on to others through a concept he calls impartation.
So, what exactly is impartation? Well, in Gamer's worldview, it's the idea that spiritual gifts, like a gift for evangelism or a gift for healing, can be directly transferred from one believer to another, usually through prayer or the laying on of hands.
And he bases this whole practice on what he sees as biblical precedents. He points to stories like Moses sharing his leadership spirit with the 70 elders, or the Apostle Paul transferring a spiritual gift to his student Timothy. For him, this isn't a new idea, it's a model for how things are supposed to work today.
And so, this all leaves us with a really powerful, provocative question. Gamero's entire testimony suggests that these incredible miracles and this profound pain are really just two sides of the same coin. So it forces us to ask, if he's right, if great glory really does require great suffering, what is the ultimate cost of that power?